The worst moment of my life happened during a Christmas dinner. The smell of roasted turkey and the flawless decoration of my parents' Victorian home created the perfect illusion of family harmony. Sitting alone in my car, I watched through the lit window as my siblings, James and Emma, pull up with their perfect families. The kids are darting around in the snow-covered yard while my mom, Elizabeth, greets them with that rehearsed smile. My dad, William, as usual, oversees everything from the top of the stairs with his critical gaze. The old house creaks under the weight of traditions and expectations. I take a deep breath before stepping out of the car, straightening my new dress, my little armor for another night of veiled comments and subtle comparisons. Little did I know that this would be the Christmas when everything would change, the moment I'd finally find my voice. Subscribe to the channel and give a thumbs up to access more stories like this. Everyone says I'm the black sheep of the family, even though I'm the most successful of the 4 siblings. I lead a team of 30 people at a multinational company. I have my own apartment and I travel the world. But none of that matters when I come home. Here, I'm just Charlotte, the youngest who still hasn't settled down. James, my older brother, works part-time at our dad's company and can barely pay the bills. Yet he has 3 kids and a submissive wife. For my family, that makes him a success story. Emma dropped out of college to get married, but at least she gave Mom 2 grandkids. And Michael, well, he's pretty much stopped showing up for dinners ever since he moved to the other side of the country. Maybe he's the smartest one of all of us. My mom, Elizabeth, spends all year sending me links to dating sites and photos of her friends' kids with their newborns. At family gatherings, she always finds a way to mention how excited she is to see me fulfilled as a woman. Dad is more direct. At every get-together, he asks if I've met any decent guy at work. I arrived early today to help out with the preparations, as I always do. While setting the main table with the family's silverware, I looked at the old photos on the wall. In every one of them, I'm smiling, a smile that shrank over the years until it became this mask I wear today. But tonight would be different. I could feel it in the air, mixed with the scent of cinnamon and pine wafting from the kitchen. The table is set, and the guests start taking their seats. Aunt Martha with her new boyfriend, cousins with their ever-growing families, and of course James and Emma, occupying the seats of honor next to our parents. I watch my mom strategically arranging the seating like a general positioning her troops. "Charlotte, dear," she calls in that syrupy voice she always uses right before publicly putting me down. "Since we have so many people this year, could you sit at the kids' table? You're so good with them, and honestly, you're the only one left with enough energy to keep up." I feel the blood freeze in my veins. The kids' table, an impromptu table on the back porch, far away from the adult conversations, away from important decisions, away from any chance of being taken seriously. I look around and see the forced smiles, the pitying glances, the barely contained satisfaction on my siblings' faces. "But Mom, I helped set everything up. My place is over there, at the main table," I try to argue, keeping my voice low so as not to create a scene. But she's already shaking her head, that signature gesture that doesn't allow for any contest. "Don't be difficult, Charlotte. It's only a few hours. Besides, since you still don't have your own family, it doesn't make sense for you to take up a spot at the main table when we have so many couples present." Her words hit me like sharp arrows, each one carefully chosen to reinforce my supposed inadequacy. I see my dad silently nodding in agreement from his seat at the head of the table, James pretending to check his phone to hide his smirk, and Emma avoiding my gaze, her sisterly complicity completely forgotten in the name of maternal approval. I look over at the kids' table, plastic chairs, disposable plates, and 5 nephews and nieces between 4 and 10 years old, clanging their cutlery on the table. This is my place in their eyes. This is the value they give my existence. Years of professional achievements, personal growth, and building my independence, all reduced to a seat at the children's table. Something inside me breaks. It's not a loud or dramatic rupture, but a silent and definitive snap. I slowly stand up, letting the embroidered linen napkin fall onto the main table, that table I apparently don't deserve. "No, Mom, not this time." My voice comes out firmer than I expected, even surprising myself. The buzz of conversations dies down, and all eyes turn to me. Elizabeth freezes with that plastic smile on her face, her hand still extended toward the kids' table. For years, I accepted being treated like my life was just a temporary phase, like I was only waiting for the moment to fit into your mold. But that's over. I'm not a rebellious teenager or a child who needs to be watched over. I'm an adult woman who has built her own life. The silence is deafening. I grab my clutch and my coat. James tries to intervene in his condescending older brother tone. "Charlotte, you're overreacting. It's just a Christmas dinner." No, James. This is so much more than that. It's about respect. It's about recognizing that there are different ways to live a full life, but you're so caught up in your own standards that you can't see past them. My dad stands up, his imposing figure casting a shadow over the table. "That's enough, Charlotte. Sit down and behave." Behave? Like an obedient child? That's exactly the problem, Dad. You'll never see me as an adult as long as I keep submitting to this treatment. I walk toward the door, feeling the weight of all those eyes on my back. Emma looks like she's about to get up too, but a stern look from our mom keeps her in place. The children on the porch stop playing, staring in awe at their rebellious aunt. Before leaving, I turn one last time. "Merry Christmas. Enjoy your family dinner, the one you deem good enough to sit at the main table." The sound of the door closing echoes through the Victorian home, marking not just my physical departure, but also the end of an era of silent submission. The first signs of the digital storm started as soon as I got in the car. My phone buzzed nonstop with messages from the family group chat. Emma was the first. "Char, you didn't have to make such a scene. Mom's devastated." Then came James, always so dramatic. "Typical of you to ruin another Christmas." I drove aimlessly through streets decorated with festive lights, each notification bringing another wave of accusations. Aunt Martha, always the peacemaker, messaged, "Honey, come back. Your mom just wants you to have fun with the kids." Cousins who never really cared about me now had strong opinions about my behavior. The phone rings. It's my dad. I let the call go to voicemail. It rings again. I ignore it. On the third attempt, I pull over and answer, prepared for a lecture. "You have exactly 10 minutes to go back and apologize to your mother." His voice booms over speaker. "Otherwise, don't even bother showing up for New Year's." "Dad, I'm not that little girl you can send to your room anymore. As long as you're my daughter, you will respect me." Respect? And where's the respect for me? For my choices? For my life? What life? Working like a dog, living alone, without a family? I have a successful career, true friends, and financial independence. Doesn't that count as a life for you? The silence on the other end is only interrupted by his heavy breathing. When he speaks again, his voice is laden with disappointment. "Your mom just wants what's best for you. All of us do. No, you want me to be what you think is best. Those are two different things." I hang up before he can reply. The messages keep coming now with photos of the dinner carrying on without me. Emma sent an old picture from our childhood with the caption, "Remember when you weren't so bitter?" My mom, a master of emotional manipulation, sent, "Hope you're happy now. Your youngest nephew asked why Aunt Charlotte hates the family. Is that what you're teaching the kids? Abandoning the family at Christmas?" I took a deep breath and started typing a reply, then stopped. They're not ready to listen. They never were. Every word of mine would be twisted, every argument used against me. Instead, I opened my phone's gallery and found a photo of my latest project at work. My team celebrating the closing of $1 million deal. I sent it to the group with a simple message. This is my family too. People who respect me, value my achievements, and don't judge me for choosing a different path. When you're ready to accept that personal fulfillment doesn't follow a one-size-fits-all model, you can call me. Until then, I need some space. I silenced my phone and drove back to my apartment. On the way, the Christmas lights seemed a little brighter, as if they were celebrating my small personal revolution. For the first time in many Christmases, I felt a lightness in my chest. The weight of unmet expectations began to fade, replaced by something new, freedom. At home, I opened a bottle of wine that I'd been saving for a special occasion. I figured that confronting decades of family manipulation deserved a little celebration. The phone, still silenced, kept blinking with new notifications. Finally, I mustered the courage to read them. The photo I sent set off a new wave of messages. James commented, "How original bragging about your work. Money won't hold you in a hug at night, sis." Emma posted a picture of her kids. "These are the real joys in life, what you're missing out on by choice." My mom, ever calculating, shared a sequence of old photos. Me at 5 in her arms. At 10, blowing out birthday candles. At 15, on a family trip. And finally, my college graduation. The last time I truly felt proud in their presence. Her message was simple. We were so close before you changed. Before I changed. As if growing up was a betrayal. As if seeking my own identity was an unforgivable act of rebellion. I opened the last photo and stared intently. That smile on my face at graduation wasn't genuine joy. It was relief. Relief from finally being able to start living my own life. I took a sip of wine and started typing a long response in the group. You share these photos like they're proof of unconditional love, but they're just records of times when I fit into your expectations. Where are the pictures of my first promotion? Of the day I bought my apartment? Of when my project won an international award? All right, you weren't there. I sent it and continued. James, you're right. Money won't hold anyone in a hug at night, but it also doesn't judge me, belittle me, or try to shape me into something I'm not. And Emma, your kids are wonderful, but being a mom isn't the only form of female fulfillment. The responses were immediate and predictable. Accusations of ingratitude, reminders of all the sacrifices they made for me, and veiled threats of disownment. My dad sent an ultimatum. As long as you live under the influence of these modern ideas, you're not welcome in our home. I laughed to myself. Modern ideas? As if autonomy and self-respect were revolutionary concepts. I looked out of the window at my apartment building at the city lights. Each light represented a story, a different life, a unique path. Why is it so hard for them to understand that there isn't just one road to happiness? I took another sip of wine and typed my final message for the night. I'm not rejecting family. I'm rejecting the role you insist on giving me. When you're ready to see the real Charlotte, not the version you try to force me into, I'll be here. Until then, I need to protect my peace of mind. I left the chat without waiting for a reply. On the wall of my office hung a frame with the words, "Your life, your rules." I always thought it was a bit cliché, but tonight those words carried a new meaning. I picked up the phone one last time and blocked notifications from the family group. Tonight, at least, was going to be just mine. The following days were an avalanche of manipulation attempts. Mom alternated between messages of guilt and fake concern. "You must be so lonely at this time of year," followed by, "I'm worried about your life choices." Every notification was yet another attempt to make me doubt myself. Aunt Martha called, pretending she just wanted to chat. But soon she started. "Your mom isn't sleeping well. She's worried about you. She only wants what's best, dear. When you have kids, you'll understand." I hung up politely, exhausted by these predictable tactics. James sent photos of the crying nieces and nephews. "They miss you. Stop being selfish." Emma tried a softer approach. "I know you're independent and strong, but family is family. We can't simply ignore our blood ties." The worst were the indirect messages. Facebook posts about ungrateful daughters, shares of articles about the importance of traditional family, photos of family gatherings captioned like, "Only those who truly matter are here." It was like they were setting up a virtual tribunal to pass judgment on me. My dad remained as silent as always, but I knew he was pulling the strings behind the scenes. I got a call from the pastor at our old church, offering counseling to bring the lost sheep back to the flock. Later, a former high school teacher reached out, clearly in on it, reminding me how I was once such a sweet and obedient girl. In the midst of all that emotional siege, I received an unexpected message from Michael, my brother who lives far away. "Hey, I heard about what happened at Christmas. It's high time someone stood up to that circus. Proud of you, little sis. If you need a place to spend next year's holidays, my door's always open. That message was like a ray of sunshine after days of storms. For the first time since the dinner, I felt I wasn't completely alone in this fight. Michael understood. He'd gone through the same process years ago when he decided to follow his own path. As I read over the messages, I started to see a pattern. Every attempt to make me come back was based on some form of emotional blackmail. Guilt, obligation, tradition, religion, they were just different sides of the same old coin. I opened my laptop and started writing a long email to my therapist, scheduling an extra session. I needed to process all of this in a healthy way. I couldn't let the guilt they tried to impose turn into doubt about my choices. In the middle of the night, I got a message from a distant cousin. I saw what happened. I wish I had your courage. I'm still stuck trying to please everyone but myself. I replied warmly, though I felt a pang in my heart. How many others are trapped in the same toxic cycle? How many let their dreams and authenticity die in the name of artificial family harmony? I looked at the calendar. New Year was approaching. For the first time, I didn't feel anxious about the family plans. This year, I was going to create my own traditions. Traditions based on mutual respect, authenticity, and genuine love, not on obligations and appearances. The next morning, I woke with a clarity I hadn't felt in years. I looked around my apartment. Every object, every decor choice reflected who I really was, not who my family wanted me to be. On the wall hung the diplomas and certificates they never celebrated. On the shelf were books about female leadership and personal development that my mom would dismiss as modern nonsense. I made my breakfast on the balcony, something I'd never been allowed to do back at my parents' house, where breakfast was a rigid ceremony with set times and protocols. Here, I could eat waffles at 10 a.m. if I wanted. It was such a simple freedom, but so meaningful. I scrolled through my digital photo album, not the old ones my mom kept as weapons, but mine. Pictures of solo trips, professional achievements, dinners with friends I'd chosen. In every image, I saw a woman discovering herself, building her own life, breaking free. One particular memory hit me. I was 16 when I announced that I wanted to study business administration. My dad laughed and said it was a course for men, that I should study education like my sister. I ignored his advice. Today, I lead a team larger than his entire company, but that was never a source of pride at home. I opened my laptop and began listing every time they belittled my achievements. The first promotion, but when are you going to get a boyfriend? The apartment. What a waste. You could have saved by living at home. The solo trip to Europe. Alone? What will people say? Every criticism, every acidic comment, every disapproving look, all disguised as concern and love. How could I have accepted it for so long? How did I normalize this kind of treatment? My phone rang. It was a LinkedIn notification. I'd been nominated for a leadership award in innovation. I smiled, imagining my family's reaction. They'd probably say I was trying to compensate for a lack of a personal life by obsessing over work. I opened my journal, a habit I kept secret from the family. They'd laugh at that too. I began writing. Dear Charlotte of the past, you're not crazy. You're not ungrateful. You're not tossing aside family values. You're just choosing your own. You're choosing to respect yourself, to value yourself, to love yourself. And that's not selfish. It's survival. Your dreams matter. Your choices matter. Your happiness matters. Don't let anyone convince you otherwise, even those who are supposed to support you unconditionally. I closed the journal and exhaled deeply. The silence in my apartment was no longer the sound of loneliness. It was peace. The walls no longer echoed constant criticism. They reflected my choices. This is me, Charlotte, at 28, finally starting to understand that real love doesn't come with conditions or demand the price of your authenticity. Subscribe to the channel and give a thumbs up to access more stories like this. My mom's phone call came on a Tuesday night. It wasn't a coincidence. She always called at that time when I was a kid, after dinner for our girl talks. I hesitated before answering, but something told me it was time. Charlotte. Her voice sounded different, less controlled, more human. We need to talk." "Yes, we do," I replied, keeping my voice steady. "I found your old diary today while cleaning your room. From when you were 16. She paused. "You wrote about feeling invisible at home, like nothing you did was ever enough." My heart tightened. That diary. I had completely forgotten about it. Page after page of a teenager begging to be seen, really seen. And I still feel that way, Mom. Nothing's changed in 12 years. The silence on the other end was heavy. When she spoke again, her voice was choked. "I always thought I was protecting you, guiding you towards an easier, safer life, like my mom did with me. Easier for whom? Safer for whom? Charlotte, She hesitated. "I never meant to hurt you. I just wanted you to be happy. But Mom, I am happy. I'm just not happy the way you planned me to be." Another pause. I could hear her uneven breathing. "You're right," she finally said. "I've been inflexible. Maybe because seeing you live so differently makes me question my own choices." It was the first time I heard my mom admit any vulnerability. It was both disconcerting and at the same time freeing. "I'm not asking you to understand or approve of my choices," I said softly. "I just want you to respect them." "I'll try," she replied, and for the first time in years, I felt sincerity in her voice. "It won't be easy, but I'll try." New Year's came without dramatic reconciliations or miraculous changes. I didn't go back to sitting at the main table, nor did I receive formal apologies. The changes were subtle, gradual. Now my mom calls me without bringing up marriage or kids. Sometimes she even asks about work and really listens when I answer. Emma has started inviting me to lunches, just the two of us, where we can be true sisters instead of rivals for Mom's approval. James still makes offhand comments, but I've learned to smile calmly and move on. My dad remains distant, but he no longer tries to control my decisions. It's a silent, imperfect progress, but it's real. I even planned a trip to visit Michael on the next holiday. He's right. Sometimes the family you choose is just as important as the one you're given. And as for the kids' table, now when I visit my nephews and nieces, I sit with them by choice, not by force. Looking back, that Christmas wasn't just about a dinner table. It was about finding my voice, setting boundaries, and understanding that true love shouldn't cost me my authenticity. My life is still different from what my family dreamed for me, but now it's finally my life, authentic, imperfect, and free. And that, more than any external approval, is what really matters. Subscribe to the channel and give a thumbs up to access more stories like this.